looking at you, my brother, and I say this with love. You might be one of the dumbest people on earth. I'm sorry. But I'm going to say this one last time tonight, and I won't say sorry again. I'm sorry that I showed you up. Picture this. You're a 57-year-old retired NFL star worth millions of dollars. You have 2 daughters and a son. You work for ESPN, and you throw away your whole reputation because you wanted to mess around with an OnlyFans model who's 30 years younger than you. Bro. Right now, the internet is loving every second of Shannon Sharpe's downfall, and Stephen A. Smith, he's not holding back. He totally roasted Shannon on national TV, spilling secrets about what really happened behind closed doors at ESPN, and basically hinting that Shannon's career might already be over. The craziest part? Shannon created this mess all by himself. That old clip of Stephen A. going off on the whole Shannon situation is spreading across the internet like crazy, and people can't stop watching it. But it's not just Stephen's savage one-liners that have everyone talking. It's the way he basically said without hesitation that he's not supporting Shannon anymore, and that there's no way to fix the damage that's been done. He basically finished on Shannon's career in front of millions of people. Fans started asking the real questions. Is Stephen secretly trying to destroy Shannon's reputation? Does he know about some corporate power move at ESPN that the public doesn't know about yet? Or is this just plain jealousy boiling over on live TV? It didn't take long before whispers turned into proof, and the truth that came out showed a cold, ugly picture of Shannon that nobody was ready to see. I'm going to speak about whether someone is innocent or guilty of something I know absolutely nothing about. Do I believe that Shannon Sharpe is guilty of what he's been accused of? Absolutely not. That's my personal opinion. The guy that I've gotten to know, I don't believe would hurt anyone. And I'm going to say that clearly, but just as clearly, I'm going to remind everyone it's my opinion because of what I think about him. I'm not saying that I know anything beyond that. If you've been following his story, you already know Shannon went from being the internet's favorite uncle to one of the most made fun of sports personalities online after getting hit with lawsuit after lawsuit. But what most people don't know is that right after he quietly settled that big case with OnlyFans model Gabrielle Zuniga, the real mess started bubbling up. Shannon ended up completely broke, no money left, and debt piled sky high. And the first one to notice this, Stephen A. Smith, of course, and he came in swinging. He went on air and spent 20 minutes tearing apart Shannon's bad decisions one by one. Sure, he tried to act like he was giving tough love, but anyone watching could see it. That smirk, that tone, he was barely holding back from straight up celebrating the man's downfall. If you watch that clip, it's almost painful to watch. Stephen wasn't just commenting, he was enjoying it like he was secretly celebrating Shannon losing both his money and his good reputation. Fans caught the vibe right away and started saying it out loud. ESPN and Disney have a wait-and-see attitude when it comes to whatever proof they might learn about this whole situation involving Shannon Sharpe from a legal and civil perspective. What they didn't need regarding those 2 things I just mentioned. They didn't need any solid proof right now about all of that stuff once all the things Shannon Sharpe's lawyer put out there. It was uncomfortable to listen to, and it wasn't something that Walt Disney wanted associated with its brand. So having him on the airwaves while all that stuff was out there wasn't something that Disney was going to accept. That's what I mean. When I say I'm not surprised, Stephen wasn't defending Shannon. He was dancing on the man's career grave. And here's the crazy twist. Just months earlier, Shannon was on top of the world. That explosive Cat Williams interview on Club Shay Shay broke YouTube records, getting millions of views and dominating headlines. Then came the shocking news in April 2025. Front Office Sports revealed Shannon was about to sign a record-breaking $100 million podcast deal, the biggest for any athlete-turned-media personality. Add in his ESPN money and side businesses and Shannon was untouchable until everything fell apart. That's when the ugly lawsuit from OnlyFans model Gabrielle Zuniga crashed the whole empire overnight. But here's the kicker. Stephen A. Smith supposedly knew about that lawsuit before the public ever heard about it. So when he made those shady, almost smug comments about Shannon on air, it wasn't just random trash talk, he was speaking with proof. And if you looked at the facts the way he did, it was obvious Shannon's ESPN days were numbered. Still, the lawsuit itself was crazy enough to turn heads. Gabby Zuniga's opening demand, a jaw-dropping $50 million. Shannon's reaction, he practically laughed in her face, calling it nothing more than a money grab. He even promised to turn the tables and sue Gabby and her lawyer, Tony Busby, for trying to blackmail him and lying about him. On camera, he looked calm, confident, and ready to fight, like he truly believed none of it could hurt him. Then the bombshell dropped. Those disturbing leaked audio recordings between Shannon and Gabrielle hit the internet, and everything changed. Overnight, in one clip, Shannon's voice could be heard making scary threats toward her, the tone sharp enough to make listeners freeze up. In another, you could hear the change. Gabrielle's voice, shaking, clearly scared, as if she feared he might actually hurt her. That was the moment the internet caught fire, and it wasn't cooling down anytime soon. After those recordings spread like wildfire, Stephen A. decided he was done staying quiet. He went all in, breaking his silence and letting the world know exactly how he felt. And remember, Stephen and Shannon go way back. Stephen was the guy who helped Shannon get that Fox Sports job years ago. Fans figured he'd defend his friend or at least stay neutral until the court decided something. But Stephen clearly had other plans. Stephen A. shocked everyone when he went live and straight up hinted that Shannon might not be as innocent as he's been claiming. He didn't sugarcoat anything. He put it out there that Shannon's own reckless choices could be the exact reason his career is going down the drain. And Stephen didn't just stop with the warnings. He bragged a little, saying you'd never catch him playing the same stupid games Shannon's been caught up in. He kept it vague enough to avoid legal trouble, but anyone paying attention knew exactly what he meant. All those public run-ins and messy relationships with much younger white women that Shannon seemed to show off without thinking twice. Then came the twist that had fans shaking their heads. Word broke that Shannon had agreed to quietly settle Gabby's lawsuit out of court. This after months of yelling about how she wouldn't see a single penny from him. The final payment amount is still secret, but insiders whispered it might have been dangerously close to her original $50 million demand. Family, friends, supporters, and colleagues, I want to speak to you directly and from the heart. This is a shakedown. I'm going to be open, honest, and defend myself because this isn't right. This is all being set up by Tony Busby, who has targeted Jay-Z. Tony Busby targets black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of a recording that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine, and you're trying to manipulate the media. The encounter in question happened during the day at her invitation, and now that appears to be a planned setup coordinated by Gabby, also known as Carly on OnlyFans. And Gabby and Tony Busby want $50 million. What they're getting is sued for lying and trying to take me down. My career is all about real talk and honesty. I know my family and fans know exactly what this is about. That settlement hit Shannon's bank account harder than anyone expected. Tens of millions gone in a flash, plus a mountain of legal bills stacked on top. And just when it looked like the drama might fade, Gabby popped back up with her own little stab. A public statement announcing she was officially retiring from OnlyFans. After Shannon cut that massive settlement check, you could practically see how happy Gabby was. And not because she said anything about justice or healing. Nope, she stayed completely silent about the lawsuit. Never mentioned other supposed victims. Never even hinted at a recovery story. And while sure she doesn't owe the public an explanation, plenty of people felt like she got exactly what she came for, the payday. Then she threw gas on the fire by announcing she was excited for this next chapter in her life that had folks raising eyebrows. Was this whole thing a setup from the beginning? And if it wasn't, just how bad was the evidence against Shannon that he went from threatening to crush her in court to quietly cutting a check big enough to make her disappear? But for Shannon, that was just the opening act in a much uglier downfall. Soon after, skeletons from his past started coming out of the closet, and they painted a picture nobody wanted to see. Turns out, Gabby Zuniga wasn't the first to accuse him of crossing the line. Years ago, his ex, Michelle Evans, hit him with a similar lawsuit tied to incidents dating back a whole decade. Now, Michelle is back, and she's not coming cheap. This time, she's suing Shannon for lying about her and demanding $16 million. And here's the kicker. Word is she's holding proof that could destroy him completely. If she wins, Shannon won't just be in hot water. He'll be drowning in debt with no way out. But hold up, it gets even messier. Not too long ago, Shannon was that guy. The face of sports talk, the one everyone rooted for. Now, fans don't even want him showing up on their screens. He went from being the people's champion to someone a huge chunk of the internet now calls a creep. And the craziest part, people had been warning him for years that if he didn't slow down and clean up his act, he'd crash and burn, broke and embarrassed. Those warnings are now haunting him in the worst way, because old clips from Club Shay Shay are suddenly going viral, all over again, and viewers are making fun of him for ignoring every single red flag people threw his way. One clip hitting hard features Monique looking him dead in the eye and warning him about running around with women young enough to be his daughters. She told him straight, "Keep this up and you're headed for a nasty downfall." And now people are saying she called it perfectly. But that's nothing compared to the other old clip from the now famous Cat Williams interview. While Monique kept her warning classy, Cat came swinging with no filter, telling Shannon flat out that it doesn't matter how famous or loved you are. If you don't watch yourself, you'll end up destroyed like Kang the Conqueror. The delivery was savage, and the fans ate it up. Now, with these old clips making the rounds, people are connecting the dots, saying Shannon's current money problems are no accident. In their eyes, it's the direct result of years of reckless behavior and scandals he couldn't keep himself out of. Fans flooded Shannon's comment sections with proof, reminders, and a whole lot of "we told you so" energy. One person wrote, "Shannon, this could have all been avoided if you actually listened to Kat and Monique. Another added, they were sitting right beside you, dropping knowledge, and you ignored every word. Now, the big question floating around is, could Shannon have really stopped this train wreck before it happened? Or was the whole thing a setup from the start? And just when you think this man couldn't take another hit, boom, Shannon gets hit with a termination letter from ESPN. For anyone who doesn't know, hosting First Take was the crown jewel of his career, his most profitable job by far. But once word spread that he'd settled Gabby's lawsuit for an eye-watering amount, the bosses upstairs decided it was time to cut him loose. No big press release, no fiery public fallout, just a cold email saying they were moving on without him. Insiders say Shannon was devastated, and not just because it was a job loss, that this was the ultimate signal that his credibility in sports media had died. His image ruined, his accounts deep in the red, and to make it worse, the collapse didn't stop there. Club Shay Shay's views nosedived, sponsors went silent, merchandise lines stalled, and whispers started about him selling parts of his real estate portfolio just to stay afloat, including that Atlanta mansion he used to show off so proudly on Instagram. At this point, Shannon looks like a man throwing everything at the wall, hoping something will stick, but the fans are already connecting the dots. And then came the move that set the internet on fire. Stephen A. Smith unfollowed Shannon on Instagram. That one click told the whole story. This wasn't just about a messy scandal anymore. This was a full-on friendship breakup in the public eye. The fallout didn't stop there. Word is Stephen A. won't even answer Shannon's calls anymore. And to make things worse, Club Shay Shay's YouTube numbers have been steadily dropping ever since that legendary Cat Williams interview. The viral high is long gone, and every new guest Shannon books just gets compared to that moment, meaning, he's chasing a ghost he might never catch. One YouTube comment nailed it perfectly. This might be the biggest fumble in sports media history. Then, out of nowhere, Shannon finally decided to speak out in a nightcap video, and it blew up instantly. In the clip, he talked about his ESPN departure, and you could hear the embarrassment. In his voice, he knew the world was watching, and he knew just how far he'd fallen. But here's the twist. It wasn't the apology fans were expecting. Instead of owning up, Shannon started making excuses. Viewers were quick to call it out in the comments. Shannon, bro, take responsibility for your own actions. Another wrote, look at the man in the mirror. Change how you handle your business, and these women will stay quiet. By now, the walls are closing in on Shannon, and the public can smell it. Every move he makes is under a microscope, and every slip-up is getting recorded. It's important to point out a couple of things. Number one, I was not there. I can't provide any eyewitness account, and even though I got love and respect for Shannon Sharpe, and I'm sincerely hopeful and prayerful that he is completely innocent of the allegations that have been made against him, I can't sit here and speak to his innocence or guilt from a knowledgeable place because I have nothing to do with this. I haven't seen anything. I don't know anything. I don't even know this person. I know what the reports say. I know the reports, the things that have been reported on a bunch of outlets from the AP, to the New York Post, to Forbes, to TMZ, and everything in between. I mean, I can't even count the number of publications that have talked about it or written about it, networks, etc. It's all over the internet. Reposted and made fun of within minutes. Sponsors that once lined up to be seen next to him are quietly backing out, and those who stay are reportedly renegotiating their deals to pay him less. The media isn't letting up either. Sports blogs, gossip pages, and even late-night hosts have been taking turns turning his downfall into jokes. One viral skit mocked Shannon's fall from grace by showing a man in a Sharpe suit holding wads of cash, then slowly taking off the suit piece by piece until he's left with nothing but IOUs. Fans said it was brutal but accurate. And as if that wasn't bad enough, rumors are flying that Shannon's trying to land a comeback job. But networks are scared to touch him because they don't want to inherit his problems. The industry whisper is that his only real option might be going completely independent. But that takes a level of fan trust he just doesn't have right now. Meanwhile, Stephen A. is thriving, pulling big ratings and scoring new brand deals, and fans are openly comparing the two. One brutal tweet summed it up. Stephen A. built an empire. Shannon built a mess. At this stage, it's not just a bad season for Shannon Sharpe. It's a full-on collapse of a brand that once looked bulletproof. The man who was once called the voice of sports. Debate is now fighting to keep his name from sinking completely. His media empire crumbling, his reputation in pieces, his bank account bleeding out faster than he can patch the holes. Insiders say Shannon's inner circle is shrinking fast. Friends distancing themselves, former colleagues going silent, and even family members urging him to step away from the spotlight before he does more damage. But Shannon, he's still trying to push content, still trying to crack jokes on camera like nothing's wrong, even as the views keep sliding and the sponsors keep ghosting. And the coldest part, the same internet that used to hype him up now seems to be rooting for the final nail in the coffin. Whether that's fair or not, it's clear the love has flipped to pity, and pity rarely pays the bills. If Shannon can't find a way to rebuild trust, This could go down as one of the most spectacular self-inflicted crashes in sports media history. But it wasn't just the fans piling on. Things got way spicier when Stephen A. Smith jumped back into the mix. After Shannon's nightcap video went viral, Stephen went on his own channel and laughed right in Shannon's face. That clip spread like wildfire across every platform, and it wasn't just because Stephen roasted him in public. It was because Stephen was supposed to be one of his closest friends. People expected loyalty, maybe even a defense, but instead, Stephen was front and center, leading the hate train. One brutal clip says it all. Stephen grinning ear to ear while picking apart Shannon's every word. In the part that stung the most, Shannon used to be respected. The OG voice of reason. The guy who kept it real. Now he's the punchline. He's the man who fumbled the bag, got clowned by his so-called friend, and is now stuck with no clear next move. Stephen didn't even have to destroy him. He just stood back and let Shannon bury himself. And now Stephen A. is still standing, still talking, still dominating, while Shannon sits in silence alongside all the people he thought had his back. So, what do you think? Is this the ultimate betrayal, or just business as usual in the cutthroat world of sports media? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives like